Hi, welcome to Valley Crafty Corner. Today I am doing a layout using the the Studio Calico roller rink kit for October. I wanted to do a layout based on a layout that I had seen Nicole from Scrapology do. So I wanted to kind of not necessarily copy what she had, but use some of the elements that she had did in her layout, just because I like the looks of it and I wanted to try it out for my own reasoning. I wanted to see if it flowed with like the type of scrapbooking that I do. So here I just took some white cardstock that came in the kit, and I just took the different patterns of papers and cut them into different width strips. Like some are 1/2 inch, some are 1 inch, some are 3/4. I just didn't want them all to be the same size because I was using that really wide journal washi tape or ledger washi tape. I wanted it to look like it fit in with the different widths of the paper. So what I did is when I cut them the different strips, all I did is I laid them down to see where I wanted to cut them. I didn't measure anything. I just was going by looks at this point to see what looked good and what didn't look good. And then I would cut the little flag notches into the ends of them just to finish them off. I was going to do different cuts and I was like, no, you know what? I'll just stick to what I know is going to look good. I was going to do it with the washi tape, but I thought, you know what? I like the look that it looked different than the rest. I think that was kind of what I wanted to do, was to make the washi tape kind of stand out on its own. So the other thing that I did to make each of the individual papers stand out, and you guys know that I do this a lot, is I ink the edges of my paper up with the black soot ink. And it's one of those trademarks that you do as you've been scrapbooking for years. I like to ink the edges of my papers just because it's something that I do for my own personal technique, just like you might use washi tape in a certain way, or you might like a really nice color of ink on your layouts, or you might use a button every time. It's whatever your technique is. And the inking the edges is, I would say, a technique that I use all the time. So that's why you'll see me ink the papers up. It just helps me blend all the different pattern papers together. So again, I'm just continuing on with the different widths of the paper and laying them down. I'm gonna fast forward this part in a second here, just because I didn't feel that it was necessary for you to watch me go through all the process of lining the pages up and then cutting the individual pieces. I just didn't feel that it was important. So again, you could see that I used that washi tape and I didn't really measure. I just laid it down and then just ripped it off where I wanted it to be. And I'm kind of measuring here, but not really. I'm just going for like what I see in the pattern paper, that for the width that I want to see. So some of these papers end up being the same width as they were before and some don't. I just wanted to keep that flow of it feeling natural and not planned out, just making it feel a little more casual, I guess, is what the word I'm looking for is. So again, I'm just inking up the edges, and then I'm going to be laying this down again. So, and all those papers were from the kit, so I didn't use any papers that were different this time. I just wanted to try to keep to the kit for this particular layout. So here you can see I am getting ready to put the last piece down, and I cut a notch when it was a really long strip, and I knew I wasn't going to do that, and I don't know why I did. I guess, you know, it was just one of those things you weren't thinking. Now, that width of that strip is a little bit longer than the page is, so I paste it down and then I just trim off the excess, just because there was, I mean, it wasn't even maybe 1/8 of an inch that it was overhanging, so I just wanted to trim that off to keep it nice and a clean edge. And then I'll just take my black soot ink and ink up over that edge of that piece again. And I'm just getting rid of my scraps here. So I kind of started laying it down my pictures just to see what it was like. And I was really liking how the pictures were lining up against that paper. These pictures were printed out from my sister. So she just put the pictures down like in, I don't know if it was any Photoshop or anything like that. So I don't even know what sizes these photos are. I would assume they're maybe 3x4s, I would assume. So they don't fit the total width or height of the page, I should say. And that's that Amy Tangerine paper that has like the red Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, etc. on it. But it was white, and I didn't want it to be white against everything else that was going on. It was really stark. So I wanted to use that flare badge, but I wanted to emulate what the colors were on this badge onto this piece of paper, just so everything kind of flowed and was my inspiration for this layout was this flare badge, actually. So I pulled out a whole bunch of Mr. Huey's mist that I thought would be really close to the colors that were in that flare badge. So I just showed you the powder blue Mr. Huey's, and that one is Dewy. And this next one's Mint Julep. And I just tried to blend them really well together. And that one's Gable Green. And that one's Buttercup. And this one's Cameo. It's kind of like an orangey pink, I would say. And then that one is Sherbert. And I sprayed this one down, but I actually ended up going over it. So you'll see that in a second. But I noticed that that green was a little bit overpowering against everything else. So I took some more of the spray and just kind of started blending everything out. The more I was spraying it, the more it was blending. So, and then here I was just trying to dry it up, and I just fast forwarded a little bit. I just wanted to you know, get it dry a little quicker. And then here you see I noticed it wasn't exactly right. I wanted to add a little bit more. So here I actually go in with the Overdue Mr. Huey's. And I didn't show, I apologize, I didn't show the bottle, but it is the Overdue. And that color went really, really well with how that flare badge was. So, I really like how that turned out. It really brought all the colors that were in that flare badge, and even the colors that I used on the layout. It brought everything in. So I really like how that part turned out. And here I'm just deciding on whether I wanted to use the full 12x12 piece, or not the 12x12 piece, but the full 12-inch length. And I decided against doing like maybe 3/4 of it, and I opted for doing the whole piece just because I felt it would bring everything together. And the reason why I'm pulling that up is because I didn't ink it in black ink, and it didn't feel like it sat well against all those other colors. And when you notice that I put it back down again, you'll notice that it flows a lot better with that black ink on the edges. So it gives a place for your eye to rest, is I think what I'm trying to say. So I knew I wanted to frame that strip up a bit just to break up the colors a little bit. So I took a border strip from, I believe it's from this speech bubble paper from Amy Tangerine. And I didn't ink the edges up on this one just because it was a dark color already and it didn't need to have any more black on it. It already had enough contrast between the papers and the lighter colors of papers and the navy blue. So here I was just trying to see if I had another strip of paper that I could use instead of that border strip. I didn't really want to cut that border strip off if I could help it. So that's from one of the Studio Calico exclusive pieces of paper. So anyway, I decided I was going to use that strip. And I went to the task of cutting. I didn't quite cut that border strip right, so I was going to the task of cutting that extra little bit off, which I didn't need to, but hindsight's 20/20, so you know, I wouldn't have done that if I would have thought that I was gonna sit it right along the edge. And I actually don't. I tuck it underneath, and that's why I say I didn't necessarily have to do that step. I just didn't want it to be like a really wide piece. I didn't want it to balance off on the other side. I'd want it to be a little bit thinner, just because I didn't want that whole border piece to end up being wider than what I needed it to be. So then you can see here, I'm just trying to see where I want that flare badge to go. And I know it needs to sit on something. I'm just not sure what I want it to sit against. And I brought the border or the letter stickers out because I was thinking about what I wanted to use as my title, but I wasn't sure. Oh, and here I'm just placing down the pictures. I should have started from the bottom, but it didn't matter. They weren't really glued down all that hard. But here I was just looking at those letter stickers just to try to see where I could use them, and I couldn't use them yet. And I knew I wanted to ink up that white area of the layout, but I didn't want to like take my pictures off. So I just took some of this Eclipse masking paper and I just laid it over top of my pictures. I wasn't concerned at this point with getting any ink over top of those like washi tape or those strips of cardstock. I was okay if the ink landed on top of that. And of course I made a mess. I'm a messy scrapbooker, and some people are like super clean and some people are messy, and I'm a really messy scrapbooker. To me, I'm not scrapbooking unless my desk is a complete disaster. So anyway, here I'm taking off that Eclipse masking tape, and it's easy to take off and it doesn't wreck the pictures. It just really is a good way to protect everything if you're doing inking or masking. It's a really nice, it's sticky enough that it'll hold down, but not tacky enough that it won't rip your paper if you go to peel it off. And here I'm going through some die cuts to try to see what I can use. And I've purchased the Studio Calico, the die cut pieces, and normally I don't. I've only done it twice, I think. And I didn't purchase them originally when I bought the kit, but I felt this kit was really lacking something. And so I started looking at the die cuts that you could buy. And these are just the digital die cuts, like the ones that you can, like the printables where you can print them out and you cut them out yourself. I don't have a silhouette or anything, so this is just the printouts. So I started going through them to see. And if you've never looked at the Studio Calico die cut, like the printables, I highly recommend you look at it. It seems expensive at first because I bought all three for October, and I think it was like $8 or $9, and because I'm a member I got, I think, $1 or $2 off. It wasn't a lot, but if you think about how much it costs you versus how much usability you can get out of it, it sure is worth it in the end, because I have unlimited use of all these little die cut pieces, and it really didn't take me that long to cut them out. I think I cut those 3 pages out, and I think it took me maybe half a day just sitting down and cutting out all those pieces. So I really like the pieces, and what I printed them on is I didn't print them on cardstock. I actually had some really thick, I would say it was semi-glossy cardstock, and I actually got it from a scrapbook store in town that was closing, and I just wanted to see how well it would print, and it printed fantastic on them. So I was pretty impressed with that. And here you can just see I'm going through the die cuts and just trying to see how I like everything sitting. And I really like that smile tag with that snapshots die cut above it. I'm just taking some close to my heart black and white baker's twine and just putting it through that tag. And it just needed a little bit more dimension or texture on the layout. Everything was getting a little flat. So with just a little bit of baker's twine, it really does kind of make things pop out a little bit more. So then I just ink the edges up because I want it to stand off from all that paper that's going on. And you can see how when you ink up the edges and you have it against something white, that pop of that black makes it stand out. It doesn't fall into the page and it gets lost. It stands out from its own. And so again, I was liking how this was looking, and that little flare badge is going to kind of just hang off of that badge. And I keep going back to that top corner because I knew I wasn't happy with it, but you'll see I rectify that problem very quickly. So here I just lay that tag down. I just wanted it to go somewhere where it wasn't cutting that picture off too much, but I wanted it to overhang into the photo. So, and here again, you can see me fiddling around with that top corner for where those die cuts are, just because I was not happy with how it's turning out. And all those die cut pieces that you see, besides the vellum ones, are all from that die cut pieces from Studio Calico. And here I took one of that multicolored circle pieces just because it matched the way I had sprayed that piece of paper. So I decided to use that, but I flipped it around so that the blue was on the red so that that red didn't blend into the red on the background paper, if that makes sense. I wanted to have that little bit of contrast so that you could see it. So, and then here I'm just taking a green enamel dot and just putting it over by that label. And just, again, inking up each of those individual pieces. And I was just trying to see if I wanted that love this to be on there, but I needed something on the horizontal to break those circles up. It was just a bit too much. And labels are a good way to have that hang off of a circle just to balance the layout out. And I knew I wanted to use that, so here I was just preparing to use everything in that top corner. I just forgot to glue that part down. So, and I really like my ATG gun because even if I go over the sides of a die cut with glue, I can just rub it off and it doesn't bother anything. It doesn't rip the paper or anything. So I really like my ATG gun. And here I knew I wanted to use some enamel dots, so I was just looking to see what color. And I ended up using these little yellow ones just at the very bottom of the layout. And I just tried to center the one and then just put on either side of the other yellow one just to balance it out. And I know my head's in the way here, I'm sorry. And here I just keep looking at the die cuts and looking at the pictures just to see if it needed anything else. It just felt like it was lost a little somewhere, but I do come back to that in a minute. And I believe here I'm trying to figure out what I'm doing for my title, and yeah, this is what I'm doing. So I just was laying out those wood grain thickers first. And I had a little bit of a spot of that black, inky black Mr. Huey's that got on the washi tape, and because it doesn't absorb into the washi tape, it just kind of smudged a little bit. So, but that's going to be covered up by those little mini basic gray stickers, so it's not going to be too noticeable, so I wasn't like overly worried about it. So I'm going to fast forward in a minute here just because I don't want you guys to be watching me painfully go through all the alphabet, but it's going to say not so perfect snapshot, and you can see I moved that P down. I just didn't like that P sticking way up in the air. It just felt like it was floating too high. So here I'm just outlining each of those alphabets, and I'm going to fast forward a bit again just because I don't want you to painfully sit and watch all this. So here I finish outlining it, and you can see that now you can see the little mini stickers quite a bit better. And here I'm just going through those puffy stickers from Amy Tangerine to put them on the page, and I was thinking about putting one down in that bottom corner with the snapshots, and I decided against it. I thought it had enough going on as it was. And I'm just going to start doing my journaling now. And I always test my pen out first to make sure it's flowing properly, because sometimes it just it never wants to start off when I want it to. So, and here I'm just finishing my journaling, and then I usually take a look at it to see if I'm happy with the results. And in this point I am. So we're going to take a close-up look at the clusters. And you can see on those die cuts they have some words wrote on those little labels. And you can see how I outlined those letters. So, but that's the layout for today. And thanks for watching, and have a great day. Thanks. Bye.